Hope is not wishful thinking, nor is it optimism or the power of positive thinking. So what exactly is hope? And what is the correlation between hope and other correlated factors? Research shows that optimism can bring many benefits, but that doesn't mean hope is the same. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, optimism is defined as follows: the feeling that in the future, good things are more likely to happen than bad things. Likewise, psychologists have described optimism as a tendency to believe every outcome in life will be good, favorable, or desirable. In other words, optimists believe that things always turn out for the better. For this reason, people often say they always look at life through rose-colored lenses. However, hope is not the same as optimism. Hope applies even if the odds of success we have are slim. For example, the presence of hope does not represent the absence of suffering. External factors can force us to face the dark corners of our minds or the harsh circumstances we are experiencing. Although the probability that we can survive those psychological storms on our own is very low, it doesn't mean we should completely give up hope for the future. Hope is essentially awareness. However, unlike many other perceptions, this perception can create reality. Most of the time, we assume that reality creates perception. Right now, look around you and pay attention to the objects that are around you. Is there an idea in your mind that they all exist in reality before you are aware of them? But hope is a special kind of awareness. It is awareness of something that does not yet exist. It is the awareness of possibilities. Two words, hope and optimism, are easy to use interchangeably in conversation. Maintaining a hopeful, optimistic attitude has been shown to have a positive impact on health, one's academic performance, and relationships. But what is it about someone's attitude that makes them hopeful? Research shows that when people have hope, their goals are more likely to come true. In a 2009 study in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, Feldman and colleagues asked college students to name 7 goals they wanted to achieve within the next few months. The students then underwent a brief psychometric test called the Hope Scale for each specific goal. 3 months later, they were asked to look back at their list of goals and rate the progress they had made on each goal. The results were straightforward. Students who had higher hopes for their goals had higher odds of reporting that they had accomplished their goals. This is not because hope has magical powers. That's because when people believe they can achieve a goal, they are more likely to go about making that goal a reality. The difference between an optimist and a pessimist is hope. Optimists always see the future with even just a glimmer of hope, even if at that moment they don't see any light. On the contrary, pessimists always see the sky as dark even with just one sign of difficulty. But even so, hope itself has many different colors. As Princeton research scholar Victoria McGeer has pointed out, one of the stark differentiating factors between blind hope and realistic hope is this: a clear view of potential disappointment. We know that that case has disadvantages, and failure is entirely possible. Instead of giving in to that fear, we can choose to let go of our anxiety by trusting in factors beyond our control. And intuition is one of the sensitive elements that help us discover and decode difficult questions about the vague things in the future. It will help us promptly grasp the signs of potential disappointment ahead. Therefore, the percentage we can influence the future is high or low depending on whether we are observant in detecting the difference between blind hope and realistic hope. And as Andre C. Willis shares, there are two kinds of hope, and between them is a world of difference. The word we use and talk about most often is what he calls ordinary hope. Have superficial goals like, I hope my Domino's pizza arrives on time, or I hope that my career succeeds. What makes these things superficial is that they concern possible futures and are underpinned by the heavy hand of market capitalism, which increasingly tells us what we want and what are our ambitions. How can we overcome that emotional appropriation? And Willis argues that the second kind of hope, deep hope, is an antidote to the shallow living Western culture is facing. Deep hope is not based on measurable rewards or future desires, but a way to face the real truth of life. But can we be 100% optimistic or 100% pessimistic? Or are we all essentially a mixture of both? Andrew Chignell, professor of philosophy at the University of Pennsylvania, suggests that it is dependence. For example, it depends on whether you mean optimistic or pessimistic. Psychologists have developed measures for at least 16 different types of optimism, but the easy answer here is no. It is impossible to be 100% for both aspects. The optimistic trend has been ingrained in us through natural selection. Essentially, we are here because our ancestors overestimated our opportunities and abilities. Thus, taking risks proves adaptive. But being too optimistic, more too hopeful, also has its downsides. We tend to ignore risks and overestimate our chances in ways that leave us vulnerable. Not everyone can be an above-average driver, but most people think they are. What advice would you give to someone looking ahead to 2024, hoping for a fresh yet realistic start? Especially after a few years of living under such a dismal economy, I don't know what to say about optimism in the current situation. Martin Luther King, an African-American human rights activist, once said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." However, put in another case. What if we patiently hope and wait, but good things still do not happen? Does hope then make us feel worse than despair, anxiety, or regret? Trust is an important feature in human social life, and we often must trust in uncertain circumstances. Trust your children, trust your neighbors. Hope, when done right, can strengthen faith, reduce anxiety, and give us the tools to deal with disappointment